circuit race. You see this in every review video, and in near enough every video I've made. Well, in CDT anyway. But what's the best car to get around it with? Well, today, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to be lapping all of these around the circuit because that would take fucking forever. But I am going to talk about them, and I'm also going to drive them a bit on the circuit. So there's that. Let's get into the video. I'm going to be splitting this into two halves. Well, 3/3. Limited. Cars that you can buy in the permanent shop. And Robux cars. And also, you know, if they're limited time event cars, we'll put them in Robux cars as well. So, my voice is dying. Let's start it off with this. The infamous Porsche 919 Evo. This is probably going to be the only member of the big three that I put up here, because it's the most track focused. Probably the best handling, without a doubt the best accelerating, and also incredibly lethal when exposed to non-tarmac surfaces. Especially this tuned one. But when you do get it right, it's really rewarding on the circuit. As well as having the ludicrous top speed of 315 miles an hour, which is completely inaccurate to real life, it also bombs out of the corners, stops on its nose, and turns like it's on rails. Most of the time. You can pretty much point the nose wherever you want to go, and it will go in that direction at ludicrous speeds. Just does require a little bit of talent. And as you'll note, when I went on the grass, I did in fact spin it. Shit. So yeah, the first car on this list, the Porsche 919 Evo. And that's also the first of the two limiteds I'm going to feature, because there's only one other one. The other limited I have on this list is the McLaren Solus GT. It's only 19.5 million, which makes it good value for a limited. Especially one that's this good. I've road tested this car before, but what really surprises you is what happens when you fully tune it. You know, put slick tyres, your own custom suspension and alignment, fully get the most out of that engine. Because it turns out that this thing is absolutely amazing on the race circuit. I already discovered that in my original review, but what I didn't realise was how much better it could be. Because it already felt like it was at its limit while I was reviewing it. And I'm missing all the braking points here, making myself look like a complete spanner. But I promise you, that's because it's so fast. This is one of the fastest accelerating normal cars in the game. So not dragster and not drift cars. But even then you've got the power out of the corners is where you really need it. And that thing, well, aside from the fact you barely slow down in the corners, also you're instantly accelerating when you come out. Which means this thing's very quick. Now we're going to move on to the shop cars. The first of which is the most expensive. My little electric blue streak, the Lotus EV. Now, may not seem like it, but this thing is actually incredibly good. It's got 8.8, it's rated as an 8.8 handling, but feels slightly more than that. And also, does 260 miles an hour when it's tuned. Now, it shouldn't do that. Technically, it should only do 240, because all the other cars around its price already come as standard with the sport upgrade, which means there's only one more upgrade to racing upgrade. This only comes as standard with the street upgrade, which means more room for improving the power. which is good. So yeah, and now we're going to move on to a double pairing. And this pair is also extremely broken pretty much everywhere. The first of this double pairing is the Koenigsegg Gemera. It's a 4-seater saloon that the base model comes with a 3-cylinder engine. Doesn't sound like much until you realise that 3-cylinder engine combined with the electric motor makes 1700 horsepower. And of course, if that isn't already enough for you, there's also the top of the range one with a V8. 2300 horsepower. The most power in any normal car right now, and it's in a 4-seater fucking saloon. So yeah, this is my type of family car. And of course, when you take it to the racetrack, you can keep your family in it as you go around at ludicrous speeds. This was a car I always used to take my friends with if I had more than one. And to be honest, it just feels so good on the track. In fact, I felt like I just drove it round on rails. They have actually had to nerf it. And also buff it. Because this car has the advantages of 1-gear acceleration. Which means it accelerates like a bomb. Because there's no gears. But it also has the extra advantage of having a turbocharger. So it's got all the advantages of EV. Plus turbos. Which means you can boost the acceleration even more. Now, I think they have had to nerf it in the handling department, which is a little bit sad. But even so, when you get used to the driving style, because you can't hang it in gears through corners anymore, it's really easy and very fun. It's the Regira, another single-gear Koenigsegg, and with even better handling than that Gemera, and also slightly quicker. What more could you want? Well, I'd quite like the 4 seats again, please. But you know what, if I wanted to have loads of seats, I'd use the Tesla Model X, or a Volvo XC90, or a Cadillac Escalade. So this is cool as well. But there's also one more car I'd like to show you. A car that has rose to infamy recently. A car that I absolutely adore. The Aston Martin Vulcan, named after a Roman god, and also an amazing fighter bomber. It's not even allowed on the road, and you can really feel it on the track. Turns in well, accelerates amazingly, it's got all the makings of a perfect track car. And of course, it's very easily specable. So there's that as well. So even if you don't really care much about the track, get a fucking life. But also, you can just paint it pretty much whatever colours you want. I have in this spec because I like it in this spec. So that's all the shop cars dealt with. So now we must deal with the limiteds and the Robux cars. Well, there aren't really any event cars, you know, that we can actually put round the track really quickly. Apart from this one, the Porsche Huni Pegasus, Ken Block's drifting Porsche. This doesn't drift very well unless you put it in a drift alignment, in which case it drifts amazingly. Instead, it goes monstrously quickly on the track. You used to be able to conquer anything with these back when we had the old circuit race. And you know what? Even on this circuit, which is less twisty and has more places to put your power down, it still works perfectly fine. Brake here. I messed that up. And then even if you're not interested in the circuit, you can still slide it. I can't because I'm a spanner, but you know, if you guys want to, then that's fine. This is really a really good all-in-one car. And it's from Season 3, which no one remembers. Which is a shame, because it gave us the mountain race. Well, Robux cars, there's only one, and then we're going to group some of them together, individual Robux car that is good on the track, and it's one of the most competitively viable right now. The McMurtry Spearling. This thing is so quick. I have to take time adjusting to it. Because as well as it being electric, which means I can't gear hang, which is a shame, it also turns quickly and stops, like, let's just brake at 200 miles an hour on the circuit banner. 200 miles an hour to stopping. When I braked there, I didn't even end up at the corner. That's how good the brakes are, and that's also why it's used so often. As well as the fact it turns really quickly, and the acceleration is just unmatched. And now for the Group 1, and I think you may have all seen this coming. The Formula cars. I'm currently driving the F2004, but there's also the 2019, the 2012, and one of the really old ones, like 1988 I think it is. 3 out of the 4 Formula cars, which are all Robux only I think, I'm pretty sure anyway, have been available in older seasons, including this. But they were locked behind the season passes paywall, so there's that. The 4th one, actually, is only just locked behind Robux, and available permanently. Where is it? It's also probably the worst of the bunch, but it's still really bloody good. Where is it? There it is. The F2019. This is also a very good car. All the Formula races are, so if you do have them, use them. And with that, buy these cars, take them to the race circuit. Thank you for watching. Oh, one last thing. The Gamera is also a really good slider. And I know this because I've had it for ages, like since the previous map. And also used to use it to go sliding on the highway with. It was fun. Simpler times. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you tomorrow. Also, please subscribe.